There we go. All right, good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital. This is the Sunday night strategy podcast for November 29th, 2020. Sunday nights we review trade frames offered by the people. Let's see what we have. All right, so starting off with Caterpillar, we have the notation is long biased. A 2-day high break is what we're looking for. Okay, I would agree with that. The doji from Friday was an inside day, and so he's waiting for a break in either direction, but it looks like he's not setting up the short, and I would agree with that. Caterpillar has been so strong that I'm not really eager to try to short it just for that move. Good strong base has been established, and even though it looks like a sideways quad, there's a detectable upward bias here. Here's a low, here's a higher low, here's a high, and here is a slightly higher high. So we have this little rhombus action right there. And so the upside should be good. I like adding a second position if it takes out that all-time high right there. Yeah, so I like Caterpillar here. This is and Caterpillar's, a perfect example of a frog champion. I mean, when this thing swings, it goes for a long time. Like this was, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 17 days. This has been 5, 10, 14 days. So there could be another, 3 more days of upward moving just to be consistent with the previous move. So I like Caterpillar. Good trade. EWW. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to take a closer look at this one. All right, so he's going to wait to see a break of the dragon before he gets short, but is ready to get the breakout above the RL10 peak. And then this black line here in the middle represents the range risk of this day, which is just inside the dragon. Now, I personally, if I see this taken off, I'm long at 42, and my stop is here. I'm not going to use this wide one here, because if this is going to work, then this little 2-day sell-off should hold. For me, a breakdown below here is a real sign of weakness. I don't disagree with waiting for a break of 40.30 to get short with a target of the PSAR, and then adding the second position short there, and then targeting the Bollinger Band mean and probably a third position there. But when it comes to the upside, this thing has really been strong. It loves a Biden presidency, so adding a second position here, third position there, sure. I like Mexico so much, I almost might put 2 on it right there. especially if you can get, like, let's say it opens. I'm going to draw this as if this is the opening right here, and if it opens where it closes, and I have a little hybrid frog box in either direction. See, I'm not going to get long until 42, but this could open, somewhere around 41.20. So if this opened at 41.20 and I was going to get long on a swing at 42, that gives me 80 cents of potential upside gain. And I'd like to get 2 intraday positions on. Then if it breaks through 42, then I'm going to commit to a swing. And so I can use some of this money that'll be earned off of this to pay for that position, and maybe even pay for 2 positions on the swing, because I just think this is one that is really well suited for a recovery. We saw on the swing chart this weekend that EWW has a lot more room to go to get back to where it was prior to COVID. So my thinking is that I want to get if this is really the start of something good, I want to get 2 swing positions on, especially if I can pay for them with the intraday move in the hybrid frog. So that's kind of how I'm going to look at that. Honeywell, I like this one. I really do. This is an all-time high. And, the RL10 peak was right there too. And it closed really well. So it's right there. This is another one that I would think I'd be willing to go 2 positions right there. And that's a pretty tight stop for a swing. I might be tempted to go here instead. That's $3.50. Yeah, I could live with that, I guess. I would feel a little more comfortable with the dragon. But again, it's already had 2 days of pullback, and it held support at the dragon, at the skin of the dragon. Yeah, I can live with that. I think this is where I'd add a 3rd, and then probably a 4th. I just think this is really postured to go like crazy. Remember, this is a brand new add to the Dow, and great company. Yeah, I want no part of the downside on this thing. This would, for me, would be long only. The Russell's looking basically the same. All-time high. This would be boring. Now the all-time high was only 2 days ago. Had each of these days closed higher than it opened, and this little pullback was not much. So you have your yellow zone right there. I don't think I'd get short right there. I think I would want to wait to see this before I was committed to a short side trade on a swing. I don't mind getting short inside here intraday. But to have conviction about going short on a swing, I think I'd want to see, about a weakness at 178. And yeah, so he's got a long side bias. and a break of the all-time high and no resistance overhead. I mean, why not? Again, that's another one that I think you could justify 2 positions on. Ken Hum has given me all kinds of layups on this one now. This is Nolan. He had a trade frame that he completed that I wanted to comment on. I didn't see it earlier, so this looks like this is all right. So this is Bitcoin. This is daily charts. Yeah, okay. So this is a daily swing. He's got a Z3P breakout here. And got that funky pink dragon. He took his exit at the break of the southern skin of the dragon and the PSAR, which is fine. Yeah, and he's got the standard Bitcoin set up in there. Sorry, I didn't mean to obscure that. He's got the PSAR on the regression line, on the 10-period regression line, and he's using 0.02, 0.12, and 0.02. So yeah, okay. And yeah, this is setting up for a nice re-entry. He's going to wait to see a break of the dragon hump. I like that. And then he's going to take a second position, I think, on a break. Yeah, second position on a break of the RL10 at 19,369. So yeah, that looks good. Notice how that break in the MACD, this is a little slightly off. He's using a 10-period, whereas we typically are using a 5, but it has the same effect. You know, this told you that move was done, and this is becoming, if this continues to go, then this is going to give you that summer, fall, summer move, right? And that would be a supported fall crossing, because it came through the dragon and then it's going to cross the dragon again. That would be a SFC. And you'll see that reflected in the MACD histogram. It looks like that in the 4 seasons. So good trade, Noah. Well done. PBW. Yeah, there's just nothing wrong with this one at all. All-time high, and getting 1, 2, and a third position in at 102. Yeah, to me, this 100 feels like a psychological limit. I don't think that means anything, but so if you were long at 96.75 with a stop at 94.40, so it's about $2, maybe 2.25 of risk. That's fine. Getting short at the 1-day low. Boy, I think I'd want to see this. For me, I want to see a break of 90. And then it It's just to get through the dragon, and the PSAR to get down to 75. But 75 would be sort of that first target. Then you know it's really over if it gets through like about 67. If I drew that line straight, it'd be more like 65. So I think 65 is the excess gains, which also happens to be the long-term fair value. So there you are. So yeah, if you were aggressive and got those short positions in, I just think there's a lot of other targets that are going to collapse more than this one. Hard to see who has an interest in who would have an interest in undercutting PBW. Who doesn't think clean energy is going to be the future? You don't want to see that person. Unless somebody's just saying, well, it's temporarily oversold. Okay. Yeah, it's beyond Z3 on the monthly, but that's what you would expect. I just think so I don't disagree with those three, but man, just be really tactically sharp on those. Like I would use like the hourly charts to manage that one. If you got short on the day on account of the daily chart price levels, I'd be using the hourlies to manage that. Just because I think the reversals can be so sharp. So just word to the wise. Trying to get a little closer on this one. So what is this? EWZ. Okay. Yeah, it's left the Z3 pinch behind. Winter, spring, summer. This is almost like this little pullback was negligible. I mean, the RL10 didn't even really sell off much. It just kept going. So this is like a supported summer. This is the little seen supported summer crossing. SFC the hard way. I mean, it didn't even come through the dragon. So yeah, any breakout above 34, yeah, I like that all the way up. Yeah, second position at .62 and fourth. Yep, I like this one a lot. This has more room to go than Mexico, and now that it's above this previous Z3 excursion, man, there's just nothing. It's just up and away. This is good because it's also a this is a frog champion. EWZ is, and so that means just like EWW, this is one where if this is where it opens and you have a nice hybrid frog box on it here, and it breaks out to the upside, you could get maybe two positions on inside that yellow zone by the time it breaks out and pay for a second swing position with markets money. And if you could do that, that's what you'd want to do. Apple, not much to love on this one. Oops, sorry. A little moment of magic there. Yeah, this is what happens in a sideways quiet channel. You've got the Z3 lines all pinched in tight here. Very tightly pinched. The only thing this has going for it is a slightly higher low. And so you're taking only, $1.50 of risk. Could you see, if you're taking $1.50 of risk, could you see $3 to the upside to give you 2 to 1? Yeah, because $3 on that gets you to about 120, which is really just the PSAR. So that's justified. That breakout, it's a tight breakout, which you really would be well positioned then, because now you're getting 3 by the time it breaks out above this critical mass and then this critical mass. What we really got to see is 123. And if it can get through there, now it has a chance to go revisit some of this action back here. But by that time, you'd have 3 positions on. The only thing to watch on this one is just the fact that we're in this sideways quiet channel, and I don't think we have a frog box pinch on this one yet. If Ken Hamiroth, give me if you get a chance, give me a what's the number on the frog box for Apple? Let's see how close we are to a super pinch. Is it a super pinch yet? You got the RL270. You have the RL90 right here. So you have the 30 and the 10. So everything is nice and tight in here. 1.1. So yeah, we're not close to a super pinch yet. So that's 120. But intraday, yeah. So I would think, if we looked at the intraday on this thing, I bet you're going to see that as a super pinch. And on that basis, I would start it as an intraday trade. And as it gained accelerating power and kept going, because tech has been lagging so far, and at some point, Apple's going to go. So I think you got to, but each of these back here would have been killers for you. So it's going. No, but it hasn't. So it's been compressed, hasn't really broken out. So on a 30-minute chart or an hour chart, I'm thinking you could build this into a nice swing position if it decides to go. So I would say start intraday. And what you're looking for is, in order to decide to keep it as a swing, what you want to see is, when the S&P is up, that XLK is better, and you want to see that Apple is better than XLK, which is better than SPY. Then you're justified in saying Apple is now leading tech up. But until you see that, I would keep this just on hourly charts. Let's see. EEM. Oh, this is just good. Yep, all good on EEM. The couple Mondays ago, when everything gapped up and then sold off sharply, this is already back above that and going, and they held it with a higher close than the open, and basically completely eclipsed the previous week, and were willing to hold it over the weekend. So yeah, this is one where I think I'd be getting 2 positions on it, and I would try to start this with an intraday. Now, it turns out that EEM does have some representation in Mexico and EWZ. So I would kind of take my pick between whichever one of those three was doing the best to be the one that if I was only going to hold one swing, I'd wait to see which of those three was better and then go that direction. But I like EEM. It should continue to outperform. Google, in better shape than Apple. It just costs very much. But this would be a nice options play with Danny. So you don't get crushed by the cost of the position. This is nice because you have it's tested this low a couple times, rejected it each time, and now you're buying it all-time high, taking out the peak of the RL10, and off you go. Yeah, that's sort of automatic. I think you could almost take this as your risk box if you really wanted to hold this long term. I think that's you might do that because this gives you about a $30 risk. This would give you almost a $50 risk. If that's 30, that's about 50. Take your pick. I think there's better things to short. I notice he's not interested in the short side. I don't blame you. If you are tempted by the short, just remember that those sell-offs came near Z3s, and this is still stuck right in the middle of this is closer to the river than even Z2. So, and the sell-off from here was not very pronounced, so I don't feel a lot of selling pressure in that thing, which means there could be time for some buying pressure. Amgen is finally something that's in my wheelhouse. I hate all these breakouts. I never know what to do with them. Whereas this gives me very clear guidance. Now we've got all right, so we have a high, a low, a lower high, so that gives us our 1, 2, 3. We've already had the PSAR roll over and down. The dragon has rolled over and down. This thing came to here like a 5D or 7DD, and then finally gave in one up day that took it into the heart of the dragon. So now if this has any kind of weakness, like I would be getting short there. And adding a position here. And adding a third position there. Getting long here, I don't mind that. I think I would opt for a stop here though, so I could get a bigger. I would take that as my risk, so I could get a bigger position because I'm going to play if it gets through here, I'm already thinking about preserve profits if it gets through there. Preserve, because then it's on a good day it gets, or a good week it'll get to here and then here. This is about where I'd think about a second position and maybe a third position right there. Yeah. I like that one a lot. You know, what you're hoping for on this, if this fails, you're hoping for this same kind of notion here where it rolled over and it couldn't hold, and bang, it gets that. So anytime you see these statistically significant support levels at the bottom of dragons, the violations of those are signals to go short. So that's why this one is really 220. Yeah, if it gets above here, you'd have 3 positions long. You'd be all right. And then you would certainly want to be preserving profits as it approaches that. But if it gets through there, then it's 253. And if it gets above that, then it's free and clear. Home Depot, not much to love on this one. I mean, a great company, but I just think that it's marking time. Not really a critical state. The one thing that it has going for it here, let's see, this was, solid support here, here, here. So we could just say that if that's the support level, that's $6. Getting long at the Bollinger Band mean, that would be the first vote of confidence. So if you wait for it to get above fair value and really clear, and you're really getting above the RL10, I would agree with that. And then waiting to see it clear here by splitting the difference at 288 for a third position. Yeah. Maybe on I think I'd want to see this on hourly charts, because it's not gonna give you that runaway move, right? But it could give you some persistent price action here. But the length of those legs are short enough that I think if you were looking at hourly or even 2 hourly, somewhere in there, that you could get the fat part of the move, because you might want to get this kind of 4 days in a row of just crushing it. That's about a 10% gain. So I think you have to exploit that. I just don't see it as a daily winner, but this is the kind of thing that if you made money and you just dumped it into the weekly, where this was like we talked about this on the weekend, where it's a core position in your little ox cart wagon that you're pulling along, and it's being pulled by oxen. Yeah, this is a candidate where HD could be maybe one of those. And then you'd like this to go. But you really have to see it get above 290. That's when you know it's going, and that's when it should go into the cart. Meanwhile, this is kind of just a tactical trade to 290. I think there's other things that are better right now, to be honest. But if you're looking at long-term acquisition, checking it out on weeklies with the idea that you want to just hold this thing with a wider stop, then instead of here, I think you put your stop down here. So it's half the size, but then you can just let it go. I might think of that in the core position. XLE, boy, is this going to be fireworks. See, XLE, unlike HD, is really on the bargaining table right now. It's under serious negotiation of what the heck is going on, right? Because people were comfortable for a long while. If you could be comfortable during COVID, this whole downward slope was just, yeah, there's no economic activity, had a really strong bottoming, and then supported spring crossing, a breakout on Kata 2 here, another Kata 2 here. So this thing has now completely erased all of this adverse price action. Well, now it feels fully valued. The last 2 days of the week, it did nothing. So now they say, well, was that really the aberration? Is this the correct price? Back here, in which case, now you have a nice move just down to 35. And if it fails there, will momentum take it back to 32 and a half at the Bollinger Band mean? So there's a real strong case to the downside for this thing. It's almost as if that was too much. It was too much momentum. So there's scoop 1, scoop 2, scoop 3. So you had 3 legs up already, and this is ripe for the downside. On the other hand, if you say, no, really long term, this thing should really be up around 60. It's hard to argue that when fair value was down here for so long. You'd almost have to look at the weekly to see what fair value really is. But I think, you got to see it get above 40 to really have any conviction in it. Then your stop here would be okay. To me, the tactical play is to the downside, that if it does collapse, that's when you really want to get on and pound it. And maybe take a look at the triple, those triple inverse energy sector ETF. Data Dog. Don't know anything about them. They sound like a small cap. But, so I don't have any tactical feel or insight to these guys. Let's see. So great big long support level here, and then a higher support level here. So you have a low, a higher low, so that in some ways that's a Kata 2, and you're catching that early, and you're still early in the SSC. Hopefully you got some in here, but even if you didn't, you're still so close to the Bollinger Band mean that this is a reasonable target at 105, and you're thinking that it's going to get to 110, which gives you $14 of upside and only a $3 risk. Yeah, that looks reasonable. So second position here, third position there. Yeah, because you want to front run this. If it gets through there, a fourth position, that's pretty close. I'd almost say that was good enough. I really want to see it get above this. I think I would wait for a fourth position up here. eBay's almost in the same boat, but a little bit further into the life cycle of the curve that we talked about this weekend. Datadog is only 3 days out of the channel after crossing the river, whereas this is This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is already like 3 days deeper into the crossing of the river. Like it's already almost at the far side of the river already. So this is the argument why you want these down in here instead of up in here. But if you've already got these positions, could you add? Yeah, because the RL30 is turned, PSAR's wide, you're already across the Bollinger Band mean with some power. You're adding you're hoping for a breakthrough at above the river. Third position here. There's your floodplain. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and you're hoping to see 56. Yeah, on the downside, I kind of like that because it's already fully valued here. And if it bounces off the edge of the river, then it's going to come back to here and then to here. So yeah, I think you could get short there. I would not add a second position that early. I think I would just play it easy and go right here on eBay. I mean, I just think they're with more people. There was twice as much volume for online shopping. That how does eBay? How can they lose money? I don't know how they can lose money. UDOW is the same as IWM in that sense that it's already, up and going. I think I would wait to see as a breakdown below the edge of the dragon before I get short on that one. It's the same as DIA and IWM. U.S. Steel. I just think this is vulnerable. I could not start trading this to the long side right now, I don't think. Maybe I could. Could I? If you don't already own this one, I think you got to start off intraday. And then if it's closing well, keep 1/5 for the swing. And by that I mean it's moving up and you've made money on it, and then your stop is down here, and you've got $1.50 of cushion. Then and only then would I keep any as a swing. This just feels really vulnerable up here in Z3 to come all the way back to 10.5 at the Bollinger Band mean. And really, you could not let it get past here, because now you just have this thin piece. In fact, this is where I would be looking to get short at about 13.40. Yeah, I like that as a short. Yeah, intraday first only. You would also want to see what you'd like. The sweet spot for this would be SPY down, but and XLB is worse, and then U.S. Steel worse than that. If you saw those three things happening, then you'd probably see weakness at 13.40 and dropping like a stone. Alcoa, same thing. Exactly the same trade frame. But I actually prefer it to the upside because you've had 3 days to fail and it hasn't, and it was a tight range. But I would also get short right there too, only because it weakened. Let's see. Yep, short there. I think I'd be adding a second position here. And a third position there. And fourth there. And then that's just straightforward and pure money management about adding to it. It's just, you know, who's left to buy that? That's one where I think you want to look at the weekly to look at the higher time frames for possible targets. Boy, this is a short. There is no conviction in this one. Virgin Galactic. Space, yeah, right. That run is done. That's already a trap. And if this breaks, I'd be short right there. Second position. And I think probably just right there. Third. And riding it hard intraday too. And fourth. Yeah, when that thing cracks, it cracks. Yeah, the upside, I guess I'd go on a swing maybe here, but I just think the upside is better as an intraday because like when you see this kind of a single day move like that, this is one that you want to definitely hybrid frog technique intraday. And only if I made money inside here would I keep 1/5 if it broke above 29. Etsy. No idea what that is. Sounds like a K-pop group that my daughters would love. That's Etsy, for those of you keeping score at home. Consumer, what is it? Consumer clothing? Specialty retail? Maybe on the basis of really strong holiday sales, I suppose, is what that bet is. And so you're trying to get a breakout from Z3. So single position there, and then 2 here. Boy. Yeah, I would. If you did that, I would be managing this on the hourly charts for at least, and maybe even the 30-minute, because it's just hard to believe that that's got a lot more upside to it than that. I mean, it's already gone from 80 to 160. I mean, how much more is there? Yeah, okay, I'll support the idea, but I would be managing it carefully for 4 or 5 days on these tighter time frames until I had some kind of cushion built in. All right, guys, that's everything I got for you tonight. That's a good hour of some trade framing. I'll get this published and posted. I've updated the in a couple spots on Patreon the videos from this weekend. I think there were some really good ones in there. The coaching session and the Q&A session, and then the lesson on hybrid for core swing and day. There were some powerful imageries in there, I think, that were will get to the root of the matter. So I want to encourage you to listen to those. All right, that's everything I got for you. You guys take good care.